Bikram. Hi guys, today as a continuation of the neural coordination, let us talk about another important area, that is human spinal cord and its function, the reflex action and the reflex arc. If we take the spinal cord, there's a long tubular nervous tissue, thin nervous tissue inside the vertebral column. You can see the diagram response thoroughly, medulla oblongata. This is the continuation, spinal cord. It has got two enlargement, and the cervical enlargement and the cervical region and lumbar enlargement in the lumbar region. And then it ends in conus medullaris and ends in conus medullaris. And then below that conus medullaris, there is a part called filum terminale. This filum terminale extends from spinal cord up to the coccyx region. There was a question in the NEET. The end part of the spinal cord is, there are four options. One, filum terminale, conus medullaris, medulla oblongata, pons feroli. So on seeing the answer, we are tempted to answer filum terminale, the terminal portion. But that is not so. The terminal portion of the spinal cord is the conus medullaris. Right answer is conus medullaris, you should know. And then from this area, the filum terminale originates and ends in the coccyx region. This filum terminale, what is the function? It stabilizes the whole spinal cord in the body. And also this filum terminale is a part of pia mater. Question may be asked. The filum terminale is a part of pia mater. The part which is not involved in the spinal cord. There will be four options: conus medullaris, filum terminale, or medulla oblongata, pons. So only region you get in the spinal cord is conus medullaris. All the three are other parts, pons and medulla oblongata, brain, and then filum terminale, it also belongs to the pia mater. So filum terminale is the part of pia mater, you should differentiate. So you must know, you must differentiate between the conus medullaris and the filum terminale, because the actual terminal portion of the spinal cord ends in the lumbar region, L1, L2 vertebra, conus medullaris. Right. Coming to the reflex action, the function of spinal cord is the reflex action. What do you mean by the reflex action? That is an involuntary, automatic, spontaneous, short-lived, very fast, mechanical action. If you touch a hot plate, you suddenly take the hand out of it. So this is the reflex action. This stimulus goes to the spinal cord and once again comes to the muscular tissue for the effector part. It doesn't go to brain. So there is no involvement of the brain. It responds to a peripheral nervous stimulation. It responds to a peripheral nervous stimulation. There is no involvement of the brain, very important. So why this reflex action should be there in our body? So actually it's a division of labor. It reduces the workload of the brain. That's very important. The spinal cord, by its action, the reflex action, it reduces the brain workload. Okay. Then spinal nerves. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. And you should know The spinal nerve is also always a mixed nerve. So what do you mean by that? There are three types of nerves: sensory nerve, motor nerve, and mixed nerve. So sensory, what is sensory nerve? Sensory nerve or afferent nerve is one which takes the senses to the spinal cord or brain, and motor nerve or efferent nerve is one which gives the motor action from the spinal cord or brain to the effector muscle. So sensory nerve taking senses from the sense organ to the brain or spinal cord, motor nerve giving orders from the brain or spinal cord to the muscle. Mixed nerve is one that which has both the sensory and motor neurons. This spinal nerve is an example for a mixed nerve. You should know. The spinal nerve is the mixed nerve. 31 pairs, 8 pairs from the cervical region, 12 pairs from thorax, 5 from lumbar, 5 from sacral, and 1 from coccygeal region. So the formula will be spinal nerve formula C8, T12, L5, S5, C1. Right? Now, the reflex action is done by this reflex arc. So before that you can see the diagram of the spinal cord. So brain, this is the spinal cord. This is the first thoracic nerve, first spinal nerve, brachial plexus, sympathetic ganglion of the neck and sympathetic ganglion of the trunk, 12th thoracic nerve, first lumbar nerve, first sacral nerve, and plexus of the spinal nerves to the leg. So this is a clear diagram of the spinal cord extending the spinal nerves, Then reflex arc, the reflex action is done by the reflex arc. It involves 5 parts. Number 1, first you can see there is a receptor organ, skin. Stimulus is given here, and then from the stimulus is taken by the dorsal root or afferent neuron or sensory neuron. Second, to the spinal cord. This is the synapse between the sensory nerve and the motor nerve. And third part, the spinal cord. And fourth, the synapse is conducted to the motor neuron or efferent neuron or ventral neuron to the fifth part, effector muscle. So stimulus and response. So stimulus is given in the receptor skin, and then the response is taken in the effector muscle. So this is the reflex arc. Without going to brain, it turns within the spinal cord. Once again repeat, receptor skin, and then dorsal root, dorsal ganglion, afferent root, sensory root, synapse, and then spinal cord. In spinal cord, synapse takes place, motor neuron takes a stimulus to the effector muscle. This is called as the reflex arc. This you can clearly understand. If you take the spinal cord, there are 2 matters, white matter and grey matter. In spinal cord, white matter is in the outside and grey matter is in the inside. In brain it is vice versa. So here in spinal cord, outer part white matter, grey matter inside. In brain that is vice versa. This you must know. So this is about the reflex arc. And then when we talk about the reflex action, there are 2 types of reflex action. One, unconditioned reflex action and conditioned reflex action. So what do you mean by unconditional? That is inborn, that is hereditary, whereas this conditioned reflex is acquired during the lifetime. And then in the unconditional reflex, learning does not involve in any way, whereas in the conditioned reflex, learning is the basis for the conditioned reflex. For this conditioned reflex, I can say one famous experiment done by the Russian scientist Pavlov with a dog. What he did was, he gave meat to the dog. On seeing the meat, the dog is salivated, and then at the same time he rang a bell. So he gave food. On seeing the food, the dog salivates. At the same time, he rang a bell. This was continued for a longer time. One day what happens, he rang a bell, he didn't give the meat. On hearing the bell sound, the dog becomes to salivate. That means it is conditioned to that sound, that the sound will give the meal or meat for this dog. So the dog is conditioned to that sound. So when Pavlov didn't give food or meat, he rang a bell, the dog salivates. That means this is an example for conditioned reflex. The dog is conditioned to the ringing of the bell. So what is the example for this unconditioned response? Breastfeeding by the child and then swallowing of the food, blinking of the eyes. These are all the common examples for the unconditional reflex. For conditioned reflex, cycling. So once we started cycling, it becomes unconditional, that we become cycling. That is an example for conditioned reflex. So with this we are coming to the final stage of this session. Spinal cord, the structure, and the conus medullaris, the terminal part, and what is phylum terminale, and then reflex action, two types, unconditioned and conditional. Reflex, spinal nerves, 31 pairs, and spinal formula, C8, T12, L5, S5, C1, and then the reflex arc, receptor organ, dorsal root, affector root or sensory root, and then synapse in the spinal cord, and then motor neuron or efferent neuron, and then finally effector muscle. This is the reflex arc of a reflex action. Thank you very much.